We're only a few weeks away. A few weeks away. And a lot of you are getting that itching in your loins, and not just because of that regrettable evening you spent with that lady you met at the bar a couple of months ago. You got that itch. You got that burning sensation. Because you know that moment in time of the year is drawing closer at hand. And as much as you don't want to admit it, you need it. You want it. Of course, I'm talking about Bears football. Let me repeat that again for all of you. Bears football. That's what you're here for. You wanted to hear me say that. Bears football. And if early indications are telling it all, it would seem like we are certainly in the midst of another fantastic, splendiferous season of Party Like It's 1975 Bears football in 2022. At which point in time right now, some of you have went to the comments and have complained about the noise. You know what the hell channel you clicked on. You saw the damn title of the video. You had to know at some point in time I was going to say that in that tone. That's not my fault. That's yours. You're dumb. You knew better. Bears football! But oh Christ! It's another year and another season of Bears fans setting ridiculously low standards. And I understand it. Usually I'm one of the more negative Bears fans because I'm right. Usually I'm one of the more negative Bears fans because I don't drink the Kool-Aid for an organization that deserves none of that shit. You got a lot of these fucking marks and ass clowns that sit there and try to excuse, defend, and justify everything this shitty-ass organization does. For what reason, I know not why, other than to sit there and say to themselves, well, I'd have to be a fucking moron to continue to be a Bears fan, so there's got to be some light at the end of the tunnel, until you realize we're talking about Bears football! But I want to talk about something different today. No, I don't. I want to talk about Bears football! Because when you look at their offseason moves that were made, like some of the big signings, relatively speaking, that General Manager Ryan Poles went after. When you look at their first two picks in the draft. When you look at the head coach that was hired. Boy, oh boy, that sure feels an awful lot like Bears football! We're going to play defense. We're going to run the ball. Woohoo! Where in the fuck have we heard that before? Meanwhile, you got people talking about Justin Fields and what Justin Fields is going to do in year number 2 and what they expect Justin Fields to do in his progression and what he can do, what type of numbers he can put up. And I want to be very clear here in this video. What the Bears gave up to move up in the draft to get him, you might say, wasn't that big of a price if he ultimately works out. That's true, but it wasn't zero price. Like there was a price to pay to move up to go get Justin Fields. You don't do that to draft a freaking game manager. You do that because you believe that he can be the franchise guy you haven't had since the days of the Sid goddamn Luckmans. Of course, when I'm talking about the Bears and especially their idiotic fan base, you've still got a fan base that thinks that Jay Smokin' Cutler is the greatest quarterback of all time in that organization's history. Like that's the level of intelligence or lack of intelligence we're talking about. You literally got Sid Luckman in the Hall of Fame, who was a preeminent passer in his time, but because people see bigger numbers from Smokin' Jay, he's the greatest quarterback the Bears have ever had. Like that's how stupid of a fan base we're talking about here. And if you're looking at yourself, you say, oh, is he talking to me? Probably. And you're going to think about it, and you're going to get mad, and you're going to get pissy, and you're going to be like, you know what, he's probably right. No, you won't. You'll try to deny it. Because that's what Bears fans do. Because that's what Bears football is all about. Defense, running the ball, and ignoring abject reality. But back to Justin Fields. All of this talk about, well, if he has like 3,500 combined yards this year, or he throws for 3,500 yards, then that's good. Like baby steps here, progression. Fuck all that! Bump that! And if that's where you're setting the standard, then bump you! 4,000 yards passing this year or bust. Or bust. If Justin Fields is what the fuck a lot of you believe him to be, then why in the fuck are you sitting there trying to tiptoe through the damn tulips? Smell the fucking roses. The number one most important thing about the 2022 Chicago Bears season, let's be absolutely clear here, is not trying to backdoor your way into a damn wild card spot with an 8-9 record. It is not trying to contend with the other teams winning the NFC North. That shit doesn't matter. That is secondary. And if that is your focus, your priorities are fucking wrong. Your number one and only exclusive sole priority this year is bringing that offense up to modern NFL standards and doing everything you can to ensure that Justin Fields develops and shows that he could be that dude. The fuck does it matter if you won 10 or 11 games because you played defense, ran the ball, and hit your fucking quarterback? Oh, whoopee, it's Trubisky and Cutler and Sexy Rexy all fucking over again. Yeah. Nah, fuck that. 4,000 yards passing or bust. Like goal number one for Justin Fields is actually be able to start all 17 games. And that's not a small, insignificant thing. The number one most important ability a lot of times is the ability of availability, and he needs to be able to demonstrate that he can stay healthy for a full season. But let's give the benefit of the doubt here for the moment and say that he does. If he actually starts all 17 games in 2022, does it really feel unreasonable to expect a quarterback that you invested a pretty high first-round pick on and you gave up multiple other draft picks to get? Does it feel unreasonable to expect him to be able to average over a 17-game season a little over 235 yards passing a game? Like, that's what the fuck we're talking about here for 4,000 yards. There is only one franchise in NFL history that has yet to have a 4,000-yard passer, and guess who it is? Bears football! It is mind-numbingly frustrating and aggravating and annoying that so many Bears fans continue to set their standards so goddamn low. They love mediocrity. They crave this shit. Because they're so conditioned to accept it, they think this is normal behavior. It's fucking not. And to sit there and say, well, Justin Fields throws for 3,300 passing yards, but he decreases his interception rate, and, you know, he has like 500, 600 rushing yards. Like, what type of fucking loser talk is that? No! 4,000 yards passing or bust. To which you're going to respond with, well, what about 4,000 yards passing or bust? To which you're going to say, well, that's not the only thing. 4,000 yards passing or bust, you stupid idiots! Because to sit there and pretend like young quarterbacks in recent NFL history haven't been able to do that in year two would be an astounding departure from acknowledging what actual reality is. Look at last season. You had two young quarterbacks in year two of their careers. Joe Burrow threw for over 4,600 yards and took his team to the goddamn Super Bowl. Technically, that should be the minimum standard, but of course we're dealing with Bears football, so we gotta take frickin' baby steps. Justin Herbert as a rookie threw for over 4,300 passing yards and he only played 15 games. Last year he threw for over 5,000! And you assholes want Justin Fields to be satisfied with throwing for 3,500 yards. Fuck's wrong with you? Kyler Murray in year two, 3,971 yards passing. And you're going to point to like, well, Josh Allen only threw for a little over 3,000 yards passing in 2019. Yeah, and then the next 2 years he was like 4,500, 4,400 passing yards. That was also because the Bills kept some of the reins on him on that offense like morons. They didn't let him go. Like, you're going to have Bears fans talking about, well, I want Justin Fields to cut down his interception rate. Who gives a shit? I'm giving a shit if he fucking throws 18 or 20 picks. You've got to be able to have him learn on the field with all the shit he wasn't able to do under frickin' numbskull Nagy last year. I'd like to see him cut down the fumble rate, yes. But INTs, if those INTs are coming because he's taking shots down the field and he's learning and growing from them, then fucking who cares? That means he throws 25 touchdown passes? Perfect. Okay. No more namby-pamby half-ass ball here. Like even Baker Mayfield threw for 3,800 yards in year two. And you're going to point to, well, Lamar Jackson didn't. Yeah, but Lamar Jackson also had 1,200 yards rushing in year two and he was fucking league MVP. Fuck's wrong with you? 2017 rookie class. So going into 2018. Patrick Mahomes, 2018 was his first full season as a starter. He threw over 5,000 yards passing and had 50 touchdowns. Deshaun Watson with DeAndre Hopkins and a bag of dicks in Houston with fucking Bob as his play caller threw for over 4,100 passing yards. Don't tell me that the standard can't be that for Justin Fields. And oh, by the way, for all of these guys before 2021, they did it in a 16-game season. Fields has got a fucking extra game to do it. Jared Goff in year 2 in LA threw for 3,800 yards. Carson Wentz, you're going to be like, well, he only threw for like 3,200. Yeah, he also had his season cut short. And he was an MVP candidate. There's certainly some other names I'm leaving out. Of course, Mitchell Trubisky, Dwayne Haskins, like rest his soul. Obviously some notable bust. The busted one, Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold. But if you want to see Justin Fields become that dude, like the bar has been clearly fucking set. Jameis Winston threw for over 4,000 yards passing in his first 2 years. Andrew Luck threw for over 4,300 yards as a rookie. Ryan Tannehill in year 2, for Christ's sakes, in Miami, had 3,900 yards passing. And who the hell was he throwing to down there? Well, Russell Wilson didn't have to throw for that many yards. Yeah, he also had an all-time epic defense, a Hall of Fame running back, and they won the goddamn Super Bowl. Different situation. Fuck. Cam Newton as a rookie, the only time in his entire career he did it, he threw for 4,000 yards passing, and that was back in 2011. Don't tell me my standards are too high or unrealistic. The reality is your mindset needs to change, and the Bears organization mindset needs to fucking change. 4,000 yards passing for Justin Fields in year 2. I don't want to hear shit or excuses about the skill players. I don't want to hear shit or excuses about this or that. I don't want to hear shit about, well, they could run the ball to the elite level. That's such a Bears football fucking thing to do, ain't it? Gives a shit. Want to play modern NFL winning football. The only thing that matters this year is Justin Fields, period. And if you want him to be that dude and show that he could be that dude, then you want him to throw for a minimum of 4,000 passing yards. It is 4,000 passing yards or bust. You can have a different opinion about it, and in this case, as is so often the case with the Bears with a lot of you, you'll just be, as usual, dead ass wrong. Contributing to the problem of the mindset of the mediocrity that permeates all throughout Hallis Hall in this shit show Chicago Bears organization because you love the thought of old school Bears football. Meanwhile, I want to see Justin Fields develop into an actual franchise quarterback and see the Bears play contemporary modern football and actually be able to contend for and win championships. But I'm the negative one. I'm telling you to raise the goddamn standards here and the expectations, but I'll be the negative one. If you're trying to sell it short by saying, well, as long as Justin Fields has 3,500 yards passing or 3,200 yards passing, that'll be good growth and progress. Fuck you! You're the problem. You gotta increase your focus. You gotta change the mindset. You gotta demand and expect better. Everybody involved should. Fuck defense and running the goddamn football. We've been there. We've done that. That's played out crap. It's that dump Soldier Field. It's time to play modern contemporary football. Well, I don't know if the Bears can protect Justin Fields. You know what? If he can't make it through all season without getting hurt, then maybe he's not the fucking dude anyways. Wouldn't it be better to find it out sooner rather than later? If he starts all 17 games and can only throw for 31 or 3,200 passing yards because they're so terrified of putting the game in his hands that they have to run a shit ton, or he's not that effective as a passer, then maybe he's not the fucking dude anyways. And wouldn't you rather find it out sooner rather than later? So no. Fuck everything else. You've got to find out what you've got in the kid this year. You need to throw. It is 4,000 yards passing or bust.